Good afternoon. Welcome to the University of California, Irvine and the Susan and Henry Samueli College of Health Sciences for this celebration of the 20th anniversary of the program in medical education for the Latino community, what we call Prime LC, with incredible pride. Woo! This exceptional mission-based program is an ideal example of our unwavering UCI commitment to health equity and the mission to discover, teach, and heal. A first-of-its-kind program, Prime LC, which launched in 2004 with a bold vision to create leaders and physician activists dedicated to serving underserved Latino communities. Today, we gather to honor that vision and recognize the tremendous impact of the Prime LC program. It has influenced the lives of individuals and communities. The achievements of the 172 Prime LC alumni are incredible. Nearly all of them, 95%, are practicing in community settings with a high percentage of low-income Latino patients, and 2/3 report they perform leadership and advocacy activities to advance the cause of Latino health outside their practices. The origins of Prime LC can be traced back to the foresight and creativity of two visionary physician leaders. The University of California's then Vice President for Health Affairs, Dr. Michael Drake. Please. And the then head of medical education programs here at UC Irvine, Dr. Alberto Manetta. They recognized that social structure affects health and that access to healthcare is often limited in marginalized and low-income communities. And equipped with this rigorous training in medicine, leadership, and advocacy, the individual students of Prime LC have taken this great idea and turned it into a differentiator for the Latino community. Their backgrounds, their skills as culturally fluent clinicians, their personal commitments are collectively changing lives, families, and communities. Based on its early success, the UCI Prime LC program became a model for other institutions. And by 2007, all of the University of California campuses, medical schools, had begun Prime programs focused on specific underserved populations. In 2019, UCI continued its commitment to training physicians who reflect California's diverse population and launched LEAD ABC, Leadership Education to Advance Diversity, African, Black, and Caribbean Communities. And in 2021, LEAD ABC was designated as the second Prime program here at UCI. And we have plans to create a third program. I keep looking at Dean Stamos because he's a leader for this and pushing it all. The Prime program, the third one, will be focused on training physicians to provide comprehensive, compassionate care to the LGBTQ+ population. So we have so much pride in our Prime LC faculty, staff, and students, and their dedication resonates profoundly with our shared core values of empathy, cultural fluency, and social justice. So today's celebration is a tribute to everyone who has made Prime LC such a success and its elevation as a beacon for change in medical education and healthcare. Now, it is in that same spirit, I have the pride and gratefulness that I have a distinct honor to introduce one of Prime LC's founding fathers, the former University of California Vice President for Health Affairs, the former 5th Chancellor of UC Irvine, and the current President of the University of California, Michael Drake. President Drake is a visionary leader, and we now benefit from his oversight of the University of California system of 10 campuses, 6 academic health systems, 3 affiliated national laboratories, and more than 290,000 students and 230,000 faculty and staff. President Drake holds faculty appointments at UCSF in the School of Medicine as a professor of ophthalmology and at UC Riverside School of Medicine as a professor of medicine. He is a remarkable advocate for equity, inclusion, diversity, and belonging. Please welcome President Drake.
Well, thank you very much, Steve. Very good to see you, and very nice to see everyone here this afternoon. Very good to see several old friends who I haven't seen. Actually, some of you I haven't seen since before the pandemic, and so it's nice to kind of come back together and say hello and see you all looking and doing so well. So great to be here. Also wonderful to see the current students, the new crop of students, those who are in the program now, those who are really making the dream a reality day by day here in 2024. Steve mentioned the program was started here in 2004, actually approved by the Regents in 2002. Took a couple of years after that to begin to get the funding to work with the California Endowment and others to make sure we could do the things necessary to make the program successful, to work with the faculty and the leadership at the campus to get things going, and then to put out an advertisement to the world to say, here's a new program, a new idea, a new way to move forward. It was founded back then as a prime program with the idea that it had a kind of an antidromic secret sauce. And I'll share that secret sauce just for you to know, because it's something that is sort of cognitively dissonant with everyone, but it's the secret sauce, I think, that has brought us here today. And so I'll explain it briefly. I can explain it 4 or 5 times, and then it still doesn't sound right. So I'm going to explain it briefly and see if it works. The thing that was the secret sauce to Prime back in the day was that it was focused not on the diversification of the training of the physicians in California, an important goal, something that was critical to us, but the program wasn't focused on on diversifying the underrepresented training force. It was focused on finding people who would be particularly suited to caring for the underserved patients in California. So it was a underserved patient-focused program. We knew that by focusing on underserved patients, we would draw a particular cadre of people that would come and be interested in this, and we could support them, and we get that as a secondary effect. But this was 22 years ago in California. We were in the recent passage of Proposition 209. If you think this sounds strange, particularly to the younger people in the audience, California had Republican governors for 20 of 25 years. And so we were in a time when the concepts of diversifying the workforce per se or as a goal were being challenged and weren't popular in certain parts of the state, certain parts of the country, still a bit controversial today. But what we found was that there was no controversy about the need to have physicians that took care of patients, and that there are particular populations of patients who were underserved, and it was appropriate for the University of California, appropriate for all, but particularly for the University of California as a public institution to train people who were going to take care of those patients. And so we put out a description of the program, and the idea was to attract people who wanted to do that work. We got funding from the California Endowment, and there were a couple of things that the California Endowment said. I remember a board meeting with them that said early on that we pushed back against. One was that the California Endowment wanted the program to have a payback requirement, saying, gosh, we'll support you in this program, and like many other programs, then when you finish, you will owe us this number of years of service, of the kind of service that we want. Seemed like it made perfect sense to the board. And I was there. I said to the board, no, there's no payback provision at all. The program will be evaluated on what the people who graduate from the program actually do. And if we have the right curriculum, if we've trained people in the right way, when they finish, they will serve in this way because that is what they are trained to do. That's what they're best at doing. That's what they want to do. And moreover, if we select the right people for the program, they can't wait to get to the populations that need service and do that. So we don't have to say, here's what you owe us. It's let us do it. And we'll know if we've got it right by watching 3 years, 5 years, 10 years later and seeing what people are actually doing. If we've gotten the right people, if we have the right program, we'll have statistics like the ones that Steve shared. And that is that the people are actually doing what we would wish that they would do. That's the feedback that we need. The challenge is on the program and on its selection, not a penalty or limitation on the people who graduate. And so we're so proud of that. The other thing that the California Endowment wanted was they wanted to start the program at UCLA or UCSF. They said, gosh, this is an innovative new idea. That's great. We like the idea of medical education for the underserved. We like the idea of focusing on training people for the Latino population. But why don't we start with one of the bigger medical schools and let's do that. And again, pushed back, and we said no, because for a program like this to work, it needs to have passion and dedication. And the passion and the dedication for doing this, the person who came to us with the idea of creating a Latino medical education program was Al Mineta. And Al Mineta is at UCI, and we're going to start the program at UCI. And that's exactly true. And we said we're going to start it at UCI. And actually, we don't want it to be one of a bunch of great programs that happens here. They are kind of in the large, noisy scene that is UCSF or UCLA. We want this to be the premier program at UCI. We want this to be a signature program. We want UCI to be a leader in what medical education ought to be for the country. And so we're very proud to be able to do that. I have, in my office, I have an office in Oakland. It's nice. I guess I hope it's still there. I mean, it's a tough day for Oakland. We're hoping that everything turns out okay there. But I have an office there, and I have pictures of some people in my office. And so there are pictures of my mother and father, members of my family that are in the office. I have pictures of me with famous people. You know, that's a nice thing to do, a few of those here and there. I have pictures with groups of students, not many, 4, 5, 6 groups of students. One picture that's very close to me that I've taken with me to my various offices are the pictures of the entering and first graduating class of Prime LC. So, Sarah, I look at you every day. I want that to mean something, actually. I mean, I have a bookcase with not that many things on it that I look at. And so I see a picture of you every day from now 15 years ago when you graduated, and the concept. And I remember you when you arrived. You were one of our spokespeople. We said, what is this program supposed to do? And we used you as an example of that. You were great going to the legislature and other places to say, here I am. Here's what I want to do with my life. This is the program that gives me a pathway to doing that. You make us so proud. And we're so thrilled at what you're doing every day and what you're going to continue to do. I wanted to say nice to see you. So mentioned that a lot. And then I want to also, so that's the people who are here. I mentioned the students who are here and my fellow faculty members and colleagues who are here. Tom Cicero, who was our dean at the time, and so pleased to see you, Mary. But there's also then the people who are not here. And what I want to mention, 5 years ago, I was with many of you at the 15th anniversary of the Prime program. And I have a picture I looked at again just last week. They had a picture of me there with Bob Ross, who was the CEO of the California Endowment, who funded us, and with my friend Alberto Mineta. And so I just wanted to say that in thinking about where we are today, we do see who is here and who's keeping things going and who's done so much to make us proud in the intervening years. But we also want to think about who's not here. And I was thinking about that a little earlier this afternoon about the who's not here. But actually a different thought occurred to me. We are, as people, we're sort of different elements, pieces of stars that come together, and then there's a special energy of that makes us who we are. And that energy is unique for each one of us. That's the thing that makes us a person. And we have the time that we're organized and moving in this body, and then there's a time when we're no longer doing that, but something happens with that energy. And I think that energy doesn't just go away, but it lives in the people that we've known and the lives that we've changed, the things that we've thought, the things that we've said. And so when I think of Alberto and the energy that was so powerful in Alberto, when I think of the inspiration that he provided, when I think of the motivation that he provided, the example of excellence that he provided, the importance of service to others that he provided, I think of that at the foundation of the Prime program. And actually from that foundation grow the lives and the spirit and the function and the work of all of you. You are really derivative of that. The program is derivative of that, and it means that it doesn't die, it just is multiplied. And it doesn't stop, it just continues on year after year, decade after decade, patient after patient into the future. And so in one way, he's not here with us. In another way, he is us, and we are him today and will be in the future. So I just wanted to say that I'm thinking about Alberto and thanking him, and just so amazed to see him reflected in the faces of all of you sitting in the audience. So thank you for that. That's my 5 minutes. Just really proud of all that's happened, and really excited about the future that we are having before us as we look forward to doing our very best to take care of all of those who we get the privilege of interacting with. Well, let me also say one more thing about the LEAD program. Carol, I don't know if Carol's here, but I just want to say family connections to Carol. Carol's father and my wife's father were classmates in medical school in the 1940s, and it's great to see that work continuing on in another generation as well. So a shout out to Carol and the LEAD program, and again, all the things that we're doing here at UCI to move forward. Very proud of our Anteaters. And now it's my pleasure and privilege to introduce, we have 2 very special guests with us here today among the special people in the room, and it's my privilege to introduce both of them to you. I'll begin with Javier Becerra, who is the 25th Secretary of the Department of Health and Human Services and the first Latino to hold this office in the history of the United States. Appointed by, well, how about that? I'll stop for a moment. Appointed by President Joe Biden, his mission focuses on ensuring health security and access to health care for all Americans. Secretary Becerra served 12 years in Congress as a member of the U.S. House of Representatives, and previously he served as the Attorney General of California, where he advocated for healthcare workers' rights and won an unprecedented $575 million antitrust settlement against one of the largest healthcare systems in California. He was the first in his family to graduate from a 4-year university, earning a BA in economics and a JD from Stanford University. And a fun fact that's, I think, even more important is he's a proud McClatchy Lion, as am I. And we went to the same high school. Great to see you here, Mr. Secretary. May I invite you to the podium, Secretary Javier Becerra.
President Drake, thank you very much for the introduction, and thank you for mentioning that our histories go way back to some of the same stomping grounds, and I think that's always something that I take pride in, because it's a history that has demonstrated how you can go from a place like McClatchy, which when I think the 2 of us were growing up was a very diverse school already. But I suspect not a lot of Black and Latino kids from there were going to Stanford University. And to see where we are, just the fact that I get to say President Blake. I think sometimes when we take for granted that President Drake, when he was moving up, I suspect, I don't know, maybe, Michael, you understood that you were going to become the president of the premier institution of higher education in the world. But to see that President Drake now is the guy, and I look at President Drake and I say to myself, I know I can do something. When I see a guy like Michael Drake get up there and achieve so much, it gives me the sense that the door is open for someone like me. And I think we can take that for granted in a place like California today, because we are so diverse and we do try very hard. But when President Drake and I were growing up, there was no president of UC system that looked like him. There was no secretary of the Department of Health and Human Services who looked like me. There was no Surgeon General for the state of California that looked like Diana Ramos. By the way, I would rather have your title than mine, because yours sounds a little bit better than mine. But I think we we often take for granted here in California how much we do. The Prime program that you have in the UC system is fairly unique. In fact, in some states, they'd say it's unlawful. And so that's what sets us apart. And I think it's so important. But I will not forget that there is a man named Michael Drake who is the president of the greatest institution of higher education in the world. And I'm glad it's him. I think it's important to mention that because, again, this is California. We're a different breed. And they tell us that all over the country. But they're jealous at the end of the day when they say that. Because they know as goes California, so will go the nation, right? And so we can absorb those hits because at the end of the day, we know they're going to do a lot of what we just did. So I want to tell you a little story. And knowing I see all the white coats, so I know better than to try to talk too much medicine to you. I'm the secretary of HHS, but I'm also the spouse of a perinatologist. So I can go at it with the best of you with some of the different acronyms and the different words that are used in medical lingo. But rather than do that, let me tell you a story. And it was a story when I had not much long out of law school, and I was working in the Attorney General's office. I was a deputy Attorney General, and I decided to run for the state assembly. I was about 31 or so years old. I was knocking on doors because I didn't have a lot of money, and so I was knocking on doors, and I came to this one house, and I knocked, the woman opened, and I introduced myself. I gave her my brochure. She said, "I already got one of those. Ya tengo uno de esos." And I said, and she looked at you, ese es tú, ¿verdad? And I said, "Yeah, that's me. She said, and then she said, mijo, ven aquí, por favor, ven aquí. She called her son over, "Come over here." She said, "Mijo, cuando tú creces, tú vas a ser como él. Son, when you grow up, you're going to be just like him." Now, this woman had never met me. I'd never met her. I didn't know her son. But I know what she looked at. She looked at the little brochure. She saw Javier Becerra. She saw Stanford University. She saw Deputy Attorney General. And she knew her son's going to be just like you, because that's what you got to be. And when I walked away, I knew I had a vote, so that was good. But I also felt, I got a kick out of that. Like, I'm 30 or so, and she's saying she wants her kids to be just like me. I've probably never seen her again in my life, but I got a kick out of it. Now I look at it and I say to myself, no, she really did want her son to be just like me. Just like I want so many young Americans to be like President Drake. It's a beautiful thing when you can dream to get there. Because there was a time when folks like us could not dream of getting there. Certainly my parents who grew up, my father would tell us the stories as a young man, how he saw the signs that said, "No dogs, Negroes, or Mexicans allowed." And this is in all sorts of establishments. And he was a U.S. citizen. But it's one of those things where this country is very redeeming. And it takes a while, but we try to make up for some of these things. California, again, ahead of the rest of the bunch. And that's why this Prime LC program is so important. At HHS, we work under the same spirit as the Prime program here. I instituted what I call, when I came in as a secretary, an initiative which I said, equity by design. In the design of everything we do at HHS, I want to see equity at its core. If you can't explain how Hearst is going to give out some grant money, where you show me how equity is in the design of that grant program, if you can't show me how NIH, FDA, CDC, all of our different sub-agencies are going to do their work with equity in the design of those programs, then we got to go back to this starting block. Because if you don't design it, taking into account people who've never been in it, you're going to drive far, far away before they ever get to see it. And I think that's what Prime is all about. It's in the design. It's to make sure those white coats have that opportunity. And I think that's what we need in this country's policy is a sense that everything we do, there's a design by it. And I hope more and more we're going to recognize the beauty of it because we're giving back. We have a program, the National Health Service Corps program, where we have about 20,000 people now who have gone through the program where we pay for your medical education. You give us 4 years of committed time to an underserved community. It's a great deal both ways. My son-in-law went through that program. He's now practicing as a pediatrician in Salinas, California, working mostly with farm worker families. By the way, he got his grant before I became HHS secretary, just to set the record straight. But yeah, I know I get that sometimes. It is so important. It is so important that we do things that have that in mind. We have a minority health fellowship program. We just recently sunk another $15.5 million into it because its purpose is to make sure there are more minorities who actually go into the health professions. Period. Something as simple as that. Now, $15.5 million is a pretty good chunk of money. But when you got a budget of $1.8 trillion, it's a drop. It's as they say, it's budget dust. And we could do far more than that, but at least we do it. And then we recently started up a program called ARPA-H. For those of you who have heard of DARPA, the so-called inventor of the internet and GPS, the Defense Department's Advanced Research Project Agency, we have ARPA-H, Advanced Research Project Agency for Health. We recently launched a program to try to reach out to communities that haven't always been active in the sciences and in research, because we want to make sure that that next cohort of inventors and innovators comes from all parts of the country. So we started a program that was specifically for folks in this area, in these communities that haven't always had a chance. Our Emerging Health Innovators program is reaching out. We're actually getting ready to sign an MOU with your sister institution, Cal State University, so that we can work closer in recruiting students to take an interest in research and the sciences with HHS and ARPA-H. And we intend to continue to do that even more because we put equity in the design of everything we do. And I close with this. We are right now in a moment which I think the history books will not treat kindly. But I think it really will be a moment. I say that because as the son of immigrants, I've got optimism running in my DNA. And I do believe that we're going to get past this episode where we treat human beings not like human beings, where we tend to want to separate versus include. And at a time when we still see such a shortage of physicians, nurses, health professionals coming from the Black and brown Native American communities, many of the Asian communities, the last thing we need to do is segregate ourselves from our brothers and sisters. And so I close the way I began. You can understand why it gives me a great deal of pride as the Secretary of the Department of Health and Human Services to get to stand with someone like Surgeon General Diana Ramos and President of the UC system, Michael Drake. It is a phenomenal thing to get to say in a time in our country when we're really having a hard time figuring out who we are. But in California, I think we know. And that's why this Prime program is so important and why I feel so blessed to have been invited to be part of this. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much. And to echo your comments, we're all proud to be here with you, to see the things you've done. You have 320 million or whatever Americans to take care of, and couldn't have a better person at the helm. So thank you so much for what you're doing and what you're going to continue to do. Thank you. and proud, as I said, to have a McClatchy Lion, and I'm sure a fellow person who frequented Vic's Ice Cream and the other places that we all went to. So it was from back in the day. We have another special guest here today that it's a privilege to be able to introduce to you, and that is Secretary Diana Ramos, who became California's second Surgeon General and the first Latina Surgeon General in 2022. Previously, she served as the Assistant Deputy Director of Chronic Disease Prevention for the California Department of Public Health. She's board-certified obstetrician and gynecologist and an adjunct clinical professor at the Keck USC School of Medicine. I'm very proud that she's also a two-time UC alumni. I made a lot of comments about the Secretary and I having the McClatchy Lions in common, and the Surgeon General and I have the Anteaters in common. So we're very, very happy to have you here, and as a UC alum as well. And what an amazing thing. The Surgeon General's job is to be the doctor for the people of the enterprise. And what an amazing, challenging, but great opportunity is to be the doctor for the people of California. Let me welcome you to the podium, Dr. Surgeon General.
Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction, President Drake. Buenas tardes. Good afternoon, everyone. Buenas tardes. I am so proud to be here with all of you to share this 20th anniversary. And I want to start and just reflect on what has gotten us here. And I know I was looking at the statistics. Many of you are first-time college students, similar to my story, similar to Secretary Becerra's story. And it's the people that are put in our paths that help us get to where we are. And I'm very proud, and I have to share that Secretary Becerra's wife, Dr. Carolina Herrera, Dr. Carolina Reyes is one of my mentors. I have known her since I was a resident in medical school. And I remember her support and her encouragement. And that's what this Prime LC program brings together. It brings community. And this really reflects the diversity of not just all of you, but the diversity of California. And if we look at what California is like, we are a very rich, culturally group of people, right? In California, we, the Latinos, represent 40% of the population. 40%. And so for you to be wanting to commit to focus on the Latino population, thank you, because you are helping care for our future. If that doesn't drive it home, let me just say that 1 in 2 babies born in California are Latino. What is our state gonna look like, right? What is that leadership gonna look like? It's not gonna be anymore the first Secretary of HHS, the first California Surgeon General. I hope that it's gonna be a matter of, oh yes, we have another. And pretty soon we're not gonna have to say, oh, they're Latino, they're a leader, right? And all of you represent that leadership. Thank you for your commitment. Because not only do you bring in your desire to help others, but you bring in your lived experience. To be able to recognize the fact that maybe that person that you're trying to help in clinic couldn't get to your appointment and they were late. And to realize, wow, they had to take a bus that maybe was late and they missed the bus or they didn't have the babysitter, to have that lived experience. And I remember running after the bus and like, wait, you just left me. And having to wait for the next one. You know, that lived experience helps give our patients a little bit more grace and a little bit more empathy. And that, I think, makes you a better doctor, because now you know maybe not only their personal experience, you know their culture. And the culture is so critically important. I remember going to the doctor with my mom, and when the doctor spoke Spanish, oh my goodness, she would say, "Mija, the doctor spoke Spanish. I feel so much better now. Mom, he hasn't done anything for you." It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The doctor understands me. And that is such a critical piece in healing, to have that empathy, to be able to understand our patients, not only perhaps linguistically, but culturally. To be able to understand that when I was taking care of a laboring patient, that I knew that it's a family affair, so you have 12 people in the room. And I remember during COVID, there was one family, I thought you guys get the prize. There was one family that had like a tailgating party outside of the window. Literally, they were in the truck. They had a barbecue. I'm serious. They had a barbecue. They had the balloons. And I looked out the window and the laboring patient said, "That's my family." Like, yay, this is wonderful. Even, COVID didn't even stop us. So it's that culture, it's that love. And know that just by being who you are, by your diversity, that's your superpower. That's what I've been hearing a lot. Young people say, "What's your superpower?" Your superpower is your diversity, is the fact that you're Latino, that you're Black, that you're Asian, whatever it is, that is your superpower, your diversity. Because that's what's going to make you a better doctor. You are in an institution. Take advantage. The sky is the limit. President Drake shared that I graduated from here at the Palmarage School of Business. There is so much happening here. You can create the future of medicine. Be part of the AI that can help improve healthcare, that can help improve outcomes. You have it here at your fingertips. Remember, though, you're here to become a doctor first, but in your spare time, do that research. Do that research. Secretary Becerra highlighted the fact that there's grants. Take advantage of that. There's a lot of opportunities here. You create the future. You create what medicine is going to look like. Because I guarantee you, 10 years from now, the way that we are practicing medicine is going to be completely different. And I would love it if you were the ones that were helping lead, so that one day we're going to look back and we're going to say, yeah, this innovation was created at UCI, and we don't have to highlight the fact that they were Latino, that they were Black. They were just a stellar alumni from UCI, from the UCI Prime program. So all of you have that opportunity. Thank you so much for your commitment. Don't be afraid to take chances. You are surrounded by an amazing and powerful group of people that believe in you. And there's no such thing as failure, because nobody is going to let you fail. And I think as a medical student, oftentimes that was one of my fears. They're going to realize that I shouldn't be here. They're going to realize they made a mistake. No, you are not a mistake. You are purposely chosen to be here because each one of you is special. So thank you so much for your commitment. Congratulations, UCI, and continue on 20 more years and beyond. Congratulations.
Please welcome the Dean of the University of California, Irvine, School of Medicine, Dr. Michael Stamos.
Thank you, everyone. I think I can identify with the concern about imposter syndrome after following those three speakers, right? I'm like the unluckiest guy here today, right? But actually, I'm not. I'm the luckiest guy here today because, I get to be the dean of a fantastic school of medicine. There are so many things we are doing that I am so proud of, but nothing makes me more proud than the Prime programs. Nothing. Let me say what an honor it is to have President Drake, Secretary Becerra, and Surgeon General Ramos here today to celebrate Prime and Prime LC in particular, right where it all started 20 years ago. I know I speak for everyone in this audience. Thank you for all your hard work and commitment to bolstering healthcare and health equity throughout California and throughout the country. So thank you very much. I now have the privilege of introducing one of our students. I'd like to introduce our Prime LC student speaker, Carlos Maldonado Felix. Carlos is a first-generation immigrant, the first in his family to attend medical school in the United States, and a proud DACA student. He attended Cypress Community College before transferring to UCLA to complete his bachelor's degree in biochemistry. Through his experiences at UCLA and post-graduation, his drive to improve the care of underserved populations was fostered. After his graduation from UCLA, he decided to take a couple of gap years to increase his exposure in clinical settings and to prepare his application for medical school and to prepare himself for medical school at UC Irvine. Fortunately for us, his perseverance paid off, and he achieved his dream of making it to medical school. He is now a fourth-year student in the Prime LC program here at UCI and is currently pursuing a Master of Public Health with a concentration in health systems and policy through the Joe C. Wen School of Population and Public Health. Carlos plans to go into the field of plastic and reconstructive surgery to provide high-quality surgical care to those in need when it's often not available, like the Latino populations. He also hopes that his career leads to opportunities in health policy so he can advocate for better health care for the communities he serves, much like Secretary Becerra and Surgeon General Ramos have talked about it and done. So please welcome Carlos to the podium.
Bienvenidos. All right. So, have you ever been in a group of people and still feel alone? That's how I felt for several years in my life. It was anxiety-provoking to think that if I shared personal details about myself, I could ruin everything that my family had built in this country. Every time I found a setting where these feelings began to fade, for example, school, life made sure to remind me that I played by different rules. Counselors and students reminded me that to apply for scholarships and try to take opportunities. But at the bottom of these scholarships and opportunities, there was always this big sign that said, only US citizens are eligible to apply. I always justified staying quiet about my reality because this nation has constantly reminded me that others in the world have it much worse without acknowledging that it's played a role in creating these issues. Throughout the years, the veil of distrust began to fade because I found hope through the programs like DACA that reminded me that people are taking an active role in working against these issues. And I felt like one day I could be one of them. I've been fortunate in my academic endeavors to meet individuals that have guided me to where I stand today. I found various forms of support through family and friends. In college, it was peers and mentors, and here it is the Prime LC program. Deciding where to attend medical school was a difficult decision, but I quickly found that the Prime LC program didn't hesitate to offer its support. I chose Prime LC because of the inspiring individuals who aren't here simply to be doctors, but to advocate for populations that need it most, like the Latina population. I have a deep appreciation for the alumni who built the reputation of this program, for the upperclassmen who have guided me through difficult times, who they themselves experienced, but most importantly, to the future of this program, the students with us today. I'm grateful to be celebrating the 20th anniversary of this program and look forward to its continued progress. Thank you all for being here tonight to celebrate this momentous evening.
Thank you, Carlos, for sharing your story. We can't wait to see the impact you're going to have. Now I have the pleasure of introducing School of Medicine alumna Sarah Lopez, who was part of the inaugural Prime LC class graduating in 2009. Dr. Lopez was born and raised right here in Orange County. She started as an undergrad at UC Irvine and went on to concurrently earn her medical degree from our School of Medicine and her MBA from UCI's Paul Murad School of Business. After medical school, she massed into residency at LA County USC, now known as LA General Medical Center. There, she played an instrumental role in establishing the Healthcare Administration Fellowship as its inaugural fellow. In fact, contributed quite a bit to the development of its curriculum. She then worked as a community emergency medicine physician in Southern California before becoming the patient safety officer at one of my alma maters, Harbor UCLA Medical Center, where I worked for 11 years before coming here. And also the LA County Department of Health Services, where she led efforts to improve patient care. She also has a long history of promoting advocacy through education. She started a group called Una Hora con la Doctora through MPNA Green, a nonprofit in Santa Ana that discusses different health topics to empower community members. She was the founding chief medical officer for Zocalo Health, a healthcare company that uses technology to increase timely access to high-quality primary care and that works to eliminate poor health outcomes for the Latino Hispanic community. She's also joining California's Department of Healthcare Services with the Population's Health Management Division to advance the mission of ensuring that all Medi-Cal members have access to comprehensive and equitable health care. Please welcome Dr. Sarah Lopez.
Wow. Buenas tardes. Buenas tardes. Good evening. It's kind of exciting to be here. I feel like I'm in family. So my name is Sarah Lopez, and I'm not going to cry, maybe a little. I'm the daughter of Ruben and Estela Lopez, who came to this country from Mexico carrying that same dream that so many of our ancestors carried. The dream that their children would have the opportunity for a better life. They worked, they sacrificed, they hoped. But never in their wildest dreams could they have imagined that I'd be standing here today in front of all of you, celebrating this incredible moment. My dad would say, "Eres muy fancy." I'm here representing that seed, that semillita, that so many of you planted 20 years ago when Prime LC accepted its first cohort. A seed that has grown strong, rooted in community, and now standing to bear fruit. Look around. There are so many of us, and it's this view here. There are alumni. Hey, Parker Marnie. Where's Gabby? Gabby's here, and Carl. And Jared, sorry. There are alumni here, students, all you students, all drawn to UCI because of this program's mission, because of the dream that healthcare could be more equitable, more just. I remember Jose Rea telling me about this program that he was just starting when I was applying to medical school. He had been working with Dr. Mineta, and I knew who Dr. Mineta was, because he had been doing research on cervical cancer among Latina women to see how to improve outcomes. He had been connected to Latino Health Access in Santana, which was super progressive. And he had been speaking about social drivers of health before it was mainstream in healthcare, not like today. Both of them convinced me to stay at UCI and give Prime a chance. Here I met Dr. Leo Chavez. Where is Dr. Chavez? Leo Chavez? Dr. David Hayes Bautista, and who could forget Socorro Sarmiento, right? Who built the foundation for this program's curriculum, and then meeting Dr. Drake. He hosted 2 of our cohorts in his very fancy chancellor's house, but knowing that he placed full support in this program and in us. So let me tell you what this little seed has been up to, and Dean Stamos obviously shared a lot with you already, but Prime sent me on this journey, first as an emergency medicine physician, where I saw day after day how the most vulnerable were often the ones that had the least access to quality care. Then years later, as the patient safety officer for a level 1 trauma center in Carson, where I pushed for safer, more equitable systems of care, but the COVID-19 pandemic happened. And it showed that the safety net had these gaping holes where I took care of patients, essential workers, who were going to work every day without PPE to allow for this economy to survive, who didn't have access to healthcare, to monoclonal antibodies, to Paxlovid, or even testing, and who were showing up to my ER when symptoms were too far along. It was heartbreaking. So I decided to take a chance, leave my county job, and leave the 4 walls of our hospital system and venture as the founding chief medical officer for a startup company dedicated to serving Latinos, a hybrid company where doctors that were culturally aligned could be seen through telehealth and in-person promotoras de salud, like the ones from Latino Health Access, who are trusted community health workers connecting patients on a deeper level. Because for many Latinos, and really all of us, access to healthcare is about more than just seeing a doctor. It's about finding someone who understands their lived experience, their language, and their values. And now, as I move on into a new role with the Department of Healthcare Services, I'm proud to continue this mission within the Medi-Cal space, working to ensure that health equity remains at the forefront of what I do, the work that I do. But this isn't just my journey. Prime LC has been the launching pad for so many of us to create lasting change in healthcare. So many of us carried the principles of service, equity, and compassion into our careers, building a ripple effect that touches countless of lives. Some of us are wiser in this journey, and I was able to speak with some of our alumni who've reached out because of this event to realize it's not so easy, but it's so important to keep going in the healthcare system that we are. This is the power that this program and your power who believed in the vision of Dr. Moneta had. I also want to highlight the Prime LC Alberta Moneta Service Award that Drs. Marnie Granados, Anna Fellman, and the famous Parker Duncan and I, along with the generous donations and support of so many alumni, created 3 years ago. It recognizes Prime students who exemplify commitment to addressing health disparities and advocating for underserved populations. Because of programs like Prime LC and the legacy of leaders like Dr. Moneta, we're growing, we're thriving, and we're building for a future where every Latino family can access healthcare with dignity, with respect, and a deep sense of belonging. And together, really together, familia, as I see all of you, we continue to bear the fruits of those seeds that were planted, creating a healthier, more inclusive future for all. Bienvenidos a la familia. So excited to be working alongside you guys in the future. Gracias.
Thank you so much, Dr. Lopez. Your words really, truly embody the spirit and the mission of the Prime LC program, and we're proud of you, and as we are proud of all of our graduates. So thank you for embodying that. And her story as a Prime LC alum is a great segue to why we're here today, to celebrate the 20th anniversary and to honor the extraordinary legacy of Dr. Alberto Moneta, the visionary behind this transformative program. Dr. Moneta was a leading gynecological oncologist who I had the distinct pleasure to get to know, and a compassionate advocate for the underserved. His medical career spanned over 50 years, extending from coast to coast and reaching across international borders, including South America and the Middle East. His journey began in Buenos Aires, Argentina, where he was born and went on to earn his medical degree before immigrating to the United States in 1968. During his residency in OBGYN at Nassau Hospital, which is now NYU Winthrop University Hospital in Long Island, New York, he met his wife, Nancy. And together they built a beautiful life with their wonderful children. Upon completing his fellowship in gynecologic oncology at Georgetown University Medical Center, Dr. Moneta moved across the country, thankfully, to join the UCI School of Medicine faculty in 1988. And as I say, the rest is history. At UCI, Dr. Moneta started as an assistant professor in the Department of OBGYN, and within 5 years was appointed Senior Associate Dean of Educational Affairs for the School of Medicine, overseeing the education of physicians as well as health and nursing professionals at the UCI Medical Center in Orange. He held this position for over a decade. In fact, that's when I got to know him, until he retired in 2007. His tenure at the School of Medicine was marked by his dedication to upholding the 3 pillars of our mission that exist today: discover, teach, and heal. One of our other pillars is health equity, which he embodied like nobody else. One of his most remarkable contributions to the medical field was his visionary work in predicting and advocating for fertility-preserving surgery and immunotherapy for cervical cancer, minimally invasive surgery for endometrial cancer, and targeted therapy for ovarian cancer based on genomic scarring for ovarian cancer. His forward-thinking approach significantly advanced the field of gynecologic oncology and improved patient outcomes long before these therapies became standard practice. He was a standard bearer. He was also a prolific researcher, authoring or co-authoring over 110 publications in highly ranked peer-reviewed journals and books. And due to his research, he was awarded a 5-year NIH National Cancer Institute grant from HHS to establish and study, screen, and treat cervical cancer programs in underserved communities in Southern California and Mexico. He was also the principal investigator of the single-visit cervical cancer prevention program, which focused on a simplified approach, i.e. pragmatic, to screen for cervical cancer. Additionally, his lab at UCI immortalized 2 high-grade serous ovarian cancer cell lines, UCI 101 and UCI 107, that still continue to be used to study immune modulation in this continued to be deadly disease. Beyond his research and clinical achievements, Dr. Mineta was a devoted mentor. He trained many of the nation's most accomplished gynecologic oncologists who have gone on to become leaders at prestigious academic institutions, while others have gone on to practice in the U.S. military, work in drug development in the pharmaceutical industry, and care for the underserved all across America. His dedication to medical education was recognized nationally with his appointment as president of the Association of Professors of Obstetrics and Gynecology, Council on Resident Education in Obstetrics and Gynecology in 1994. He also advocated tirelessly for the well-being of Orange County's Latino population and served as the chair of the board for Latino Health Access. However, perhaps his most enduring legacy, and why we're here today, is the founding of the Prime LC program. Recognizing the unique healthcare needs of the Latino community, many of whom were immigrants or from low-income households that did not have access to quality medical care, Dr. Mineta dedicated himself to creating a program that would train medical students to lead and to provide culturally sensitive care for Latinos. What many didn't know at the time was that he actually took a one-year leave of absence from UCI to work with legislators in Sacramento, learning how to secure funding for initiatives like Prime LC. With the support of Latino activists and then Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger, he successfully helped launch Prime LC here at UCI in 2004 with an inaugural class of 8 students. We heard many of their names mentioned today. Thank you. He also served as the program's first director for 10 years. Under his leadership, it became a model for addressing healthcare disparities and improving public health outcomes for underserved populations. It didn't take long before Prime LC quickly garnered national attention by other medical schools nationwide, prompting Dr. Drake, who was the UC system-wide vice president for health affairs at the time, to secure funding for related Prime programs at other and now all UC medical schools. That's a huge ripple effect. In reflecting on Dr. Mineta's legacy, we're reminded of the profound impact one individual can have on a community, on a profession, and on the world at large. His life exemplified a commitment to service, excellence, and humanity. Parenthetically, when I stepped into the dean's role in 2016, he was quick to reach out during that period of time up until his death to offer support and help to me. And I had several conversations with him where he was just full of not just sage advice, but support. And that was very meaningful. As we continue our work in medicine and education, let us carry forward his dedication to innovation, his empathy for patients, and his vision for a healthier and more inclusive society. Thank you for remembering Dr. Alberto Mineta with us today. His spirit lives on in the lives he touched, in the knowledge he imparted, and in the advancements he championed. May we strive to honor his legacy in our own endeavors. At this time, I'd like to invite the Mineta family to come forward to help unveil a special commemorative paver that we will be laying at the School of Medicine to honor his enduring legacy. Please welcome Katie and Nancy. Going to come up here? Of course he is. First, we're going to unveil this, okay? You can help from on this side. Okay. This side. Just lift it up and back. Ready?
Thank you. Hi. Sarah, you didn't cry, so I'm going to try not to. My father came here as a poor immigrant from Argentina. His childhood was not an easy one. He was often hungry. He experienced violence, injuries, and accidents from early childhood. It is nothing short of a miracle that he survived and was able to come to the United States as a young man. The day that he arrived here, he had $20 in his pocket, and he spoke no English. There was a story I heard many times growing up about the day my father received his letter of acceptance to the GYN Oncology Program Fellowship at Georgetown. He showed the letter to my mom and sat down on their stairs in total shock. And eventually he said, only in America could a kid like me get into Georgetown. My father loved this country passionately. He loved the opportunity it promised. When he eventually started practicing here on the West Coast, he quickly realized how few physicians were Spanish-speaking and how few shared his experience of being a poor immigrant. So when the state of California began to call on medical schools to address the problem of the physician shortage in the Latino community, my father was inspired, and he was determined to fix the problem. Those of you who knew my father know that when he set his sights on something, he could be unyielding. He could be relentless. He was not driven by a desire for accolade, and he was not inspired to act for his own advancement. My father's singular purpose was always to do the right thing. And doing the right thing is often very unpopular. There are many people who crossed paths with my father who surely did not relish the experience, perhaps some of whom are here tonight. But real inspiration, real change can often only come about because of people's willingness to sacrifice. And his life and work inspired so many. When my father first came up with the idea for Prime, he spent many months trying to develop what he thought the program should look like. He brought his proposal up to the Office of Health Affairs in Oakland in the late 1990s. He was told at that time that Prime LC was not what they were looking for. But those of you who knew my father know that he was not a man who was easily deterred. He spent the next 18 months redrafting and refining his proposal with the help of several important people from UCI's wonderful Chicano Latino Studies program. Armed with this revised proposal, my father went back to Oakland in 2002, and this time they said yes. And from that point up until the first Prime class was accepted, my father was on a campaign to develop the program's curriculum and find funding. He created a slideshow that he delivered to audiences all over California, roughly 18 times in 16 months. Next to his family, my father's great love was for his medical students. And I know that he is looking down on all of our wonderful alumni and smiling. He would have been so proud to see you all here tonight. My father knew how important Prime was. In 2022, when he was dying from cancer, my father wrote an essay called The History of Prime. He never had a chance to finish the essay, but I'm going to share some of his words with you. He said, "The decision to have the Latino population as the focal point of the program is, in my view, the most important decision I ever made in reference to this program. It is the hallmark of the program, the characteristic that sets this program apart. It has served this program well over the last 16 years and will continue to serve it well." As we celebrate the 20th anniversary of Prime LC, and looking at all of you here today, it's clear that he was most certainly right. My father never sought recognition or acclaim for his contributions. He was an outspoken advocate for the underdog and the underserved. His passion and sincerity was always on display. We are so grateful to Dean Stamos and all the wonderful UCI alumni and staff who made this evening possible. Thank you, everybody.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Katie. Thank you, Nancy. Thank you for the entire family for sharing Alberto with us. And thank you for sharing those words with us. He was a remarkable man who changed the School of Medicine for the better, and he ignited something great in the UC system with the Prime program. Well, this concludes our formal program. I want to thank Vice Chancellor Goldstein, President Drake, Secretary Becerra, and Surgeon General Ramos for joining us today. I also want to thank Carlos Montanarez Felix and Sarah Lopez for sharing their Prime stories. And of course, thank you again to the Moneta family and friends for celebrating this monumental anniversary. I also want to thank all of our students that are here supporting us and making the Prime program continue to be great. We're so proud of all of you, and we hope that this evening inspires you to do even greater things than we already know you're going to do and that you've already accomplished. So thank you all for that. I want to thank everybody for coming out to show their support for the Prime program. And without everyone here, we wouldn't have been able to grow these programs at the UCI School of Medicine or throughout the UC medical schools. I also want to make a personal thanks to our current leaders of our two prime programs, Chuck Vega and Carol Major and Candace Taylor-Lucas. I'm not sure if they're all here. I know Chuck's here. And I know President Drake mentioned that Carol's father was his classmate, and Carol was my classmate at Case Western. So we have all those connections, right? I also want to note that the UC System-Wide Prime Conference, which will include all of the prime programs, will be held here at UC Irvine in February. So we hope that some of you will come back to campus for that in a few months. I look forward to talking to everybody more during the reception. So please, let's all head out to the patio and enjoy some food and drinks and have one-on-one conversations as we continue our Prime LC celebration. Thank you all.